The noble who became history's monster. History often tells us that monsters are born in shadows, but sometimes they are born in castles. In medieval France, one of the richest men alive rode into battle beside Joan of Arc. He was celebrated as a hero, a noble, a defender of the crown. Years later, villagers whispered his name in terror. Children vanished, doors were locked before sunset, and behind the walls of his grand estates, something unspeakable was happening. This is not a legend. This is not folklore. This is a documented historical case. This is the true story of Gilles de Rais, a war hero who became one of the earliest recorded serial killers in European history. A noble born into power. Gilles de Rais was born in 1404 into one of the most powerful noble families in France. From birth, he inherited wealth most men could not imagine: castles, land, servants, and absolute authority over the people who lived on his estates. He was educated, literate, and trained for war from a young age. In a feudal society where nobles were raised to command without question, Gilles grew up knowing that laws bent around men like him. Even as a child, chroniclers noted his violent temper and impulsive behavior. But in medieval France, brutality was not unusual, especially among the elite. What mattered was loyalty to the crown. In his early 20s, Gilles de Rais rose rapidly through military ranks during the 100 Years' War. He fought alongside Joan of Arc, participating in major victories that helped turn the tide against English forces. For his service, he was awarded the title Marshal of France, one of the highest military honors in the kingdom. To the public, Gilles was a hero. To the church, he was a generous donor. To the king, he was a loyal servant. But war leaves scars, and when the battles ended, Gilles returned home, wealthy, celebrated, and dangerously unrestrained. After Joan of Arc's execution in 1431, something changed. Gilles withdrew from public life and retreated to his estates. He began spending enormous sums of money on lavish plays, private performances, and occult experiments. Within a few years, he burned through most of his fortune. Desperate to restore his wealth and power, Gilles turned to alchemy and ritual magic, believing he could summon demons to grant him gold and knowledge. Historical trial records confirm that he hired alchemists, occultists, and priests willing to perform forbidden rituals. But what began as obsession soon turned into horror. In villages surrounding Gilles de Rais' castles, a pattern emerged. Children vanished. Boys, mostly poor, orphaned, or sent by families to serve as pages, were last seen entering Gilles' estates. Some were promised food, others were offered work or education. They were never seen again. At first, no one dared speak openly. Gilles was a noble, protected by rank, wealth, and fear. Accusing him meant risking death. But as disappearances mounted, dozens, then possibly hundreds, whispers grew louder. Parents began searching. Villagers counted missing names. Something was terribly wrong. The walls of the castle. What we know next comes from official court transcripts preserved in French archives. According to witness testimonies, Gilles de Rais kidnapped children, brought them to private chambers, and subjected them to extreme torture and murder. The details are disturbing, so historians present them cautiously, but the core facts are undeniable. Servants testified that rooms were locked for hours, bloodstains were cleaned in secret, remains were burned or disposed of in hidden places. Several accomplices confessed to helping lure victims and cover up crimes, fearing Gilles' power more than their conscience. This was not rumor. This was not hysteria. This was systematic violence carried out over years. How he was stopped. Gilles might have continued indefinitely, if not for his arrogance. In 1440, he publicly threatened a priest over a property dispute. The church, long suspicious of his occult practices, finally intervened. Once authorities began investigating his finances, accusations surfaced, and witnesses came forward in numbers too large to ignore. For the first time, Gilles de Rais stood vulnerable. He was arrested by both secular and ecclesiastical courts, something almost unheard of for a man of his status. The trial. The trial of Gilles de Rais was exhaustive and meticulous. He was charged with heresy, occult practices, kidnapping, murder of children. Under oath, and later without coercion, Gilles confessed. He described his crimes in chilling detail, acknowledging years of violence and manipulation. Historians still debate his exact motivations, whether sadism, mental illness, or absolute corruption of power, but the court records leave no doubt about his guilt. This was not forced confession folklore, it was a documented legal proceeding. Execution of a monster. On October 26, 1440, Gilles de Rais was executed by hanging and burning. Witnesses recorded that he expressed remorse, asked forgiveness, and urged parents to protect their children. Ironically, in death, he regained some public sympathy, a reminder of how easily society excuses monsters when they wear noble titles. His estates were seized, his name erased from honor rolls, but history remembered him for something far darker. Today, Gilles de Rais is often cited as one of the earliest recorded serial killers in Western history. Some fringe theories attempt to reframe him as a victim of political conspiracy, but mainstream historians overwhelmingly reject this. The evidence is too extensive, the testimonies too consistent, the confessions too detailed. What makes his story horrifying is not just what he did, but how long he was allowed to do it. Gilles de Rais exposes a truth history rarely admits. Power protects predators. For years, his wealth, status, and reputation silenced victims and shielded him from accountability. Justice arrived not because society cared, but because his behavior finally inconvenienced other powerful institutions. This pattern repeats across centuries. Different names, different crimes, same silence. Gilles de Rais was not a demon. He was not a myth. He was a man, shaped by privilege, violence, and unchecked authority. And that is what makes his story truly terrifying. Because history shows us again and again, the most dangerous monsters are not born in darkness. They are crowned, celebrated, and trusted. If this happened once, how many times did it happen again?